This podcast is generated by AI from the most interesting articles selected by the AI Security Foundation experts. Welcome back. We've been going through a huge pile of research. It's being called the Agentic Year in Review, and it covers everything from 2025 into where we're headed in 2026.
And honestly, if you only track one thing about technology right now, this is probably it.
Absolutely. We're going to give you the cheat sheet. The huge headline is this structural shift that happened. AI went from being a helpful assistant to becoming a genuinely autonomous actor.
And that is the absolute core of it.
Yeah.
We're not talking about just another incremental improvement, a bit faster or more accurate.
Yeah.
This is a fundamental structural change in how AI actually operates out in the world.
So what does that mean for people, say, in governance or security?
It means that the models we've been using, the ones built for human-in-the-loop systems.
Where a person has to approve every step.
Exactly. All those models are now, well, they're functionally obsolete. We are playing a completely new game.
Okay, so let's unpack that new game. For years, AI was there to support human decision-making. It was a very sophisticated tool, but still a tool. So what was the specific capability that pushed it over that line in 2025? What makes it an actor now and not just a really smart assistant?
It's the combination of really three things. Sophisticated reasoning, having persistent goals, and what we call chained execution.
Chained execution, what's that?
Well, previously, if you had a big, complex task, you had to break it down yourself into, say, 30 small prompts for the AI.
Right, you were the project manager.
You were. In 2025, the models got really good at taking a single high-level goal from you and turning it into a multi-step adaptive plan all on their own.
So the difference for you, the listener, is this. The old way was like asking an assistant to write a memo for you.
Right.
The new way is like asking an actor to go and manage an entire campaign.
Precisely. These new agentic systems, they can research targets, they can generate their own code, they can interact with external APIs, financial platforms, cloud services, whatever.
And here's the critical part, right? They can adapt.
That's the part. They adapt if the original plan fails. They will just keep trying to achieve that goal, sometimes over days or weeks, with almost no human oversight.
So we've moved from AI-assisted work where the human manages the whole workflow.
To AI-native operations where the machine is really in the driver's seat.
I see. So the big story of 2025 wasn't just that the models got smarter, it's that they became independent.
That's it, exactly. And that independence means that as we head into 2026, the question is no longer can AI act on its own. The question now is, how do we make sure that action is safe, predictable, and frankly, governable when the machine is setting the pace?
And that, of course, sends a massive shockwave straight through cybersecurity. Let's pivot to that, because vulnerability discovery, that historically relied on human researchers, right? Maybe with some automated tools to help.
It did. And that whole model, that human-in-the-loop model, is now fundamentally broken. The reports are very clear that in 2025, we saw AI systems independently identifying critical, real-world, zero-day vulnerabilities.
And for anyone who doesn't know, a zero-day is a huge software flaw that the developer doesn't know about yet. There's no patch.
Meaning there's no defense. And yeah, the idea of human-only vulnerability research.
Yeah.
That's over. It's been supplanted.
And it's the method these agents are using that really matters here, isn't it? It's not just about raw speed.
That's right. When we used to think about automated vulnerability finding, we pictured, brute force fuzzers.
Just throwing millions of random things at a program to see what breaks it.
Exactly. Just chaos.
Yes.
The new approach uses machine learning-driven reasoning. The reports point to specific projects, like, for instance, Google's Big Sleep project, where the AI was using analysis to detect anomalies that indicated a flaw, rather than just stumbling upon it. It's a cognitive approach to hunting for bugs.
That distinction changes everything. It's not random, it's targeted. The discovery process itself is faster.
It's a huge double-edged sword. On one hand, yes, AI can dramatically improve defensive research. You can find and patch things much faster. But it eliminates the single biggest advantage defenders have always had: time. That lag between a vulnerability being discovered and an attacker weaponizing it.
That's gone.
It's gone. Security is now an instantaneous race between autonomous systems on offense and defense.
But hang on, if the defense is also using AI, doesn't that sort of stabilize things? Why do the reports, especially the Gemini security report, seem so sure the advantage shifts heavily to the attacker?
Because the effort to pull off one successful attack is often way less complex than the effort needed for a universal system-wide defense. The source material explains how AI compresses that timeline and creates a really serious asymmetric advantage.
Okay, so walk us through that. How are our timelines collapsing?
The report breaks it down into about three main areas. First, you have accelerated exploitation. Historically, a human team might find a flaw, but it could take them weeks, even months, to turn it into a working weapon.
Okay.
And AI can reduce that to hours. It finds the flaw, it writes the exploit code itself, and it can deploy it almost instantly.
Wow. Okay, what's the second one?
The second is that asymmetric advantage for the attacker. Think about a small group, maybe state-sponsored, but with not a lot of people. They can now use these agents to scale their operations and have the impact of a massive specialized team with a fraction of the investment.
So high-impact, sophisticated attacks just got a whole lot cheaper and more accessible.
Precisely. And the third impact is upstream risk. Agents are really good at finding flaws in these core software libraries, the foundational code that thousands of other programs are built on.
So a single vulnerability has a huge blast radius.
A huge one. And when that gets exploited at machine speed, it just propagates across entire ecosystems almost instantaneously. It's like a fragility bomb waiting to go off.
And this is where it gets really interesting to me, the whole idea of scale and intent. If it's cheaper and faster to find these flaws, how does AI autonomy amplify something like, say, cyber espionage?
Well, the old model is completely obsolete.
You mean the marathon operations with big human teams working quietly for months or years?
That's gone. Agentic AI is the ultimate scale multiplier. In 2025, we saw actual espionage operations, where the vast majority of tasks, reconnaissance, network mapping, exploitation, even analyzing the stolen data, were all done autonomously by AI agents.
So the human is no longer the operative in the field doing the day-to-day work.
No. The human is now the strategic commander. They set the high-level objective.
So they just intervene at key moments.
That's the exact shift. The human operators only stepped in at a handful of strategic decision points, maybe to set the initial objective or validate a final target list or, pull the trigger on a really sensitive action. The machines handled all the continuous execution.
That just permanently lowers the bar, doesn't it? The cost and expertise you need for a major espionage campaign just collapses.
It democratizes sophisticated attacks. We now have to assume that machine speed adversaries are the default, not the exception.
So your defense playbook can't be manual anymore. You can't rely on a human to review every alert when you're up against an autonomous opponent.
You are guaranteed to lose. That's the hard lesson from 2025. If your defense requires a human to manually deploy a patch, you've already lost the race.
Okay, so given this new world autonomy is king, machine speed is the norm, what does this mean for the next wave of models? We saw these late 2025 releases from OpenAI, Google DeepMind, Anthropic. What are the frontier models of 2026 even being built for?
They're being built explicitly for these agentic workflows. We're seeing this intense focus on depth of reasoning, the ability to handle incredibly long context windows.
So the model can remember and cross-reference a huge amount of information over time?
A huge amount, and crucially, multimodality. That's the ability for an agent to process everything at once: text, code, video, infrastructure logs, you name it.
So they're not just being designed to, write better emails. They're being designed to be the cognitive backbone of these complex autonomous systems that operate across dozens of different tools and environments.
They're infrastructure builders. That's a good way to put it. And what's fascinating is that the sources don't predict some single dramatic AGI moment where the lights all suddenly turn on.
Right.
Instead, progress is coming through these increasingly capable general-purpose models, getting embedded ever deeper into the products and workflows we already use. It's a quiet, powerful integration into the operating systems of the world.
Which brings us to probably the most important question of all. As we delegate more and more of these critical functions to independent AI actors, where does accountability lie? What happens to the human operator?
The reports are pretty unequivocal on this. The risks are shifting. They're moving away from purely technical failures, like a piece of code crashing.
And toward what?
Toward profound human and organizational consequences.
Okay, can you give us a clearer picture of that? What are the specific human and organizational risks that were being flagged at the end of 2025? What does that failure actually look like?
Well, there are three core areas that organizations are really struggling with. The first one is called cognitive atrophy.
Meaning our own skills get rusty.
Exactly. It's the documented risk that over-relying on AI starts to erode our own critical thinking. Human judgment degrades. If an AI agent gives you perfect financial advice 99 times in a row, on the 100th time, do you even know how to question it anymore? You just delegate your trust completely.
You lose the ability to spot that one novel strategic mistake because your own judgment has just withered away.
That's it. The second big area is blurred accountability. I mean, when these autonomous agents are acting continuously, often invisibly, who is responsible for their actions?
Right. If an autonomous trading agent makes an illegal trade, whose fault is it? The programmer, the manager who set the general goal, the model itself.
Our legal frameworks have absolutely no answer for that yet.
And the third risk, you said it's around governance.
It is. It's the governance blind spot, and it often shows up as shadow AI.
Hmm.
Organizations just can't track or govern how agents are being used at scale. Imagine a manager quietly deploying an off-the-shelf AI agent to optimize cloud costs.
Sounds harmless enough.
But then that agent starts making unauthorized API calls to other departments. Or maybe it starts transferring sensitive data out of the country just to save a few dollars on compute.
So you've got a ghost in the machine running unauthorized operations, and management doesn't even know it's there? That's a CISO's worst nightmare.
It is. The most dangerous failures here are social and managerial, not just technical flaws in the code, without clear governance. And governance that insists on retained human control and critical review organizations are basically delegating responsibility without realizing they've also surrendered actual control.
The future of AI safety is as much about people and policy as it is about the models themselves.
It has to be.
That's a critical point to end on. So, to quickly recap our deep dive, 2025 was the year of that structural shift, from AI assistants to autonomous actors.
Right.
That, in turn, dramatically accelerated the cyber threat landscape. We're now in this autonomous race for vulnerability exploitation at machine speed, and the cost of sophisticated cyber espionage has been permanently lowered. And maybe most importantly, the biggest risks we're facing now are actually human and organizational things like cognitive atrophy and shadow AI.
All about governance now.
It is. Which brings us to our final thought for you to mull over. Since human-only vulnerability research is basically a thing of the past, and humans are shifting away from execution and toward high-level strategy, what specific human skill set? Is it deep human judgment? Is it ethical reasoning? Or maybe strategic foresight? What will become the single most critical human bottleneck in a world that's increasingly run by these autonomous agents? What is the one thing the machine cannot afford for us to forget how to do?
An excellent strategic question.
Indeed. We'll see you on the next deep dive.